Moving on to Saturn, it's in Sagittarius, of course, now, and it rules the Sun in Capricorn this month. So the Sun putting a light on Capricorn stuff I'll explore in video 2, and then it kind of relates back to, or so to speak, has an affinity with or answers to Saturn in Sagittarius. Saturn's square with Neptune in Pisces is easing up as a square to Chiron in Pisces begins, and this is a huge story. Think about all the things you've been hearing astrologers, including me, talk about. Actually, other people seem to be extremely vocal about this. I did the thing in the video last month. I put that 6 or 7 minute excerpt on YouTube, and I mean, a lot of people watched it, so I know people are looking for this information. But I think it's even more interesting because as the square to Neptune eases up, the one to Chiron begins. It won't perfect yet because Saturn will go retro in early March. So it's kind of a hint of it, just like before Saturn's retrograde period last year, it was kind of getting up there to Neptune. Neptune was at 7-ish, Saturn stationed around 4.5 degrees Sagittarius, and so there was this hint, this intimation. So we're going to have the same thing again with this. So right now, Neptune's about 7 or about 8 degrees almost. Chiron is about 17, 18, and then Saturn's now at 10 as of this recording. So we're in the middle there, and it's going to be building. I want to talk about this. The space between is what I wrote in the notes. This kind of no man's land, or this kind of weird between place. It's a zone that when Neptune and Chiron are 10 degrees apart, we're not thinking about them as conjunct. And I keep talking about them each as being herms or road signs on the side of the road. Something goes into an immutable sign. Oh, it talks to Neptune. And then, however long later, it talks to Chiron. Separate conversations. But when we have a planet like this squaring almost the midpoint, we could say, squaring the space between them, it's a little different. It's kind of, in a sense, tying the Neptune and Chiron together. Neptune is the satellite dish of multidimensional awareness, not just brain and physical sense awareness, but multidimensional, energetic, psychic, dream, I see dead people, whatever, all that kind of stuff. A Chiron in Pisces is a very specific, pointed antenna of energy and emotion awareness. Saturn in Sagittarius, as I've been asking us, what's true? What do you believe in? And it's another form of the Jupiter and Virgo conversation, which says, can you envision a better tomorrow? Saturn in Sagittarius is saying, can you change something right now to expand? And it's a sense of getting better as well. Can you look forward to something? Many of us can't. We lose faith. We feel defeated. We feel small. We feel childish because the big thing isn't being produced, or progress isn't being made, or we haven't finally done the thing. I'll just mention as I'm saying this, I'm realizing that I have a client who does coaching work with me, and she comes into the house every couple of weeks for a 2-hour session. So it's really intense, and there's a lot of ground that gets covered every time. I think she's done it 5 times in the last few months. She actually moved to Arizona to work with me in person. That's, so I was actually very honored. So she's ready to go, but she's coming up against this resistance, and she hasn't listened to those recordings yet. And she comes in and she feels down on herself because she hasn't made progress. And I'm trying to help her understand that it's fine. I'm not judging it. There's no judgment, because we have to get up against a wall of a part of us that doesn't believe things can change. And then something can shift. But we have to really get up against that wall. And that's a bit about what Saturn and Sagittarius is about right now. Now it's squaring Neptune, so we've had this thing about reality versus illusion, a 3D truth versus imaginal, creative, visionary truth, kind of squaring the tension and thinking big versus having to deal with details, all that kind of stuff. And now we add in the Chiron thing, healing, nurturing, filling in the gaps of love, becoming the source of love for the self, generating compassion. That's what Neptune and Chiron and Pisces are talking about. They're each asking us to be compassionate. Can you afford to be open-hearted? can you get stuff done, Saturn, square these two, if you're open? I personally think that this is an incredibly fantastic opportunity to get grounded in the body and learn more about the body's energy field, how our emotions and thoughts and beliefs affect the physical body, and then how we actually broadcast things into 3D, and then we see the 3D manifestation. Sometimes we don't like it. A couple of you signed up for the Intuitive Skills class, Intuitive Skills Development Level 1, that begins at the end of January. And because of this, what I'm talking about, I actually scheduled another section to begin in mid-March. So be in touch if you're interested in that. The same subscriber perk rate cut will be in play for that one. And it's essentially the same 8-week class, tour of your chakras and all that. But this is a huge opportunity to get more in touch with what is really happening in 3D. Part of the story for everybody, for many of us, is, and you've heard me say this many times, but it's louder now with this Saturn square Neptune and Chiron. Something from elsewhere on the timeline that is huge has been trying since the end of the Mayan calendar to come up to the surface for full manifestation. At the end of the Mayan calendar, end of October 2011, is the date that intuitively resonates for me, of the two possible dates that scholars have offered. The veils between dimensions dissolve, and stuff from across the timeline wants to seep up into your life now. So I've had this, if you guys have read the Soul's Journey 3, a case study, that's one example. I wrote about 19 of my own past lives. Given emotions that come up and the process I go through to discern what's going on and reconnect, essentially time traveling within my own consciousness. But we're all having something that needs to be resolved come up. A lot of people are having particular health or work or money issues that are coming to a head in harsh core ways. And we need to resolve what's unresolved. It's not natural for something to be unresolved in our field. And so I think that this is getting louder now as Saturn squares Neptune and starting to square Chiron. And then as Saturn, progresses or transits more into Sagittarius, we're going to have that square to Chiron be more exact. This is going to happen for a while. Anyway, all the stuff about 3D and energy, manifestation, consciousness. When we talk about manifestation, we think about the red bicycle in the driveway. We think about the abundance teachings that are, associated, that are about The Secret, that media extravaganza that came out that everyone was salivating over 10 or 12 years ago, whatever. But we really are constantly manifesting everything. So to get an understanding of the nitty-gritty details, this is why I'm having this little health issue. This is why my colon is talking. This is why, to really get that is critical. Not just focus on manifesting the things we dream about, but really seriously understanding the manifestations that have already occurred and are occurring now. You're a powerful divine creator. It's all happening because you're vibrating it. So don't look forward to a happy tomorrow because you don't know how to deal with today. Look at the manifestation of today. Okay, that's a soapbox. Okay. Okay, so moving on. Saturn also is going to begin a trine.